Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi, assalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullahi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Howdy everybody. This is a little bit of a dark video, inshallah. Hopefully you can all, I'm not going to be kind of paying too much attention except to the road right now and to my thoughts. So I wanted to ask, what would you do in a certain situation? Because to me, this is a very good analogy to draw between those in this situation and those who are presented with a situation and then they choose to, let's say, look the other way. So I'll begin with the scenario. And that scenario is your neighbor, it could be your next door neighbor, is murdered, okay? And it just so happened that the night he was murdered, you had seen a neighbor across the street, down a little bit, leaving. You knew it was him because he wears a certain sweatshirt. You saw him leaving the house of that other neighbor at the exact time of the gunshots, and he left, with even a gun in his hand. Okay, and he snuck around and went out back. Well, it comes down to it when the cops get there and everything else. This guy was the first one to report that he heard the shots. Long story short, and he was, allegedly even best friends with the person who was murdered. And it comes down to it to where they frame another of the neighbors, or they find out that there was some evidence that they believed that he did it, even though you had evidence. You saw that person was the one who was there. So this person's about to go to jail, but the person who you saw did it, they have a lot of power in the community. And when you saw them a couple days later, they kind of paid you a visit and said, hey, look, you saying I'm going to kill you and I'm going to kill your whole family. And you didn't see him pull the trigger, but he told you not to say anything. So you're worried because this he's got some influence in the community, and you don't want to stir the boats because, like, look, why bother? Like, I didn't die, I didn't kill the person, so I'm not in trouble, or I'm not even up for grabs. So maybe what I saw was, wrong, even though it's just like glaring in my face. I saw him with what was a gun in his hand right after the shots fired, running out of the house, sneaking around. So you go and you let it slide. Is that what you would do? Or would you risk yourself and your family to going and doing the right thing, telling the authorities what you saw, being a witness, putting your neck on the line to save an innocent person who might be up for death row or, life in prison? So now I want to kind of correlate that and draw a parallel to another situation, which is when people are presented with the truth, when people call to Islam and they invite people to Islam. I myself have heard many people, and Sheikh Abdurrahim Green even made a mention of a rabbi friend of his, who they say, we believe that this is the truth, but they're not willing to keep their eyes on it. It's kind of like when a kid, like, they did something wrong, and then they can't look their parents in the eye. They just kind of always like look away. It's kind of like, really kind of, they got that awkward feeling. They don't want to have to face the truth of what they did because it has a lot of gravity, it holds a lot of weight, and there's a lot of ramifications. So the same thing with when you present people with Islam. Do they accept the message? Is it that easy? Or is it like the murderer, when you know that if you were to accept this message, it's going to have some ramifications. It's going to put you in jeopardy. It's going to make you have the potential of losing friends, losing family. People will leave your side. You might not look so good when you put yourself in that hot seat and you say, what? I know this is the truth, So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to grab it. You know, most people are like those neighbors who are just going to sit by and let the innocence, which in this case is the innocence of their own, the innocence that their own selves had, so they're oppressing themselves when they decide to look the other way, when they know that what they have been presented with is the truth, and they know that that which has come to them is not only logical, but it's implementable. Like it's able to be implemented, but they fear the ramifications more than they care for the truth. And this, I wanted to kind of make a reference to the last video I made, which was وَمَنْ أَظْلَمُ مِمَّنْ افترى على الله الكذب وهو يدعى إلى الإسلام. So who is more oppressive than he who, when he hears the message, when the message is brought to him, he lies upon it. He lies about it and says that it isn't the truth, or he looks the other way when that message is brought to him. Those who call to Islam. And Islam is just what? It is the submission to the Almighty Creator alone, without partners or equals. And Jesus in the Bible himself said, not my will, but my Father's will. That's Islam. And we know all of the prophets prayed. Even in the Bible, we have narrations from every single of the Ulul Azm, which are the great prophets, the 5 great prophets, except for Muhammad sallallahu, because he is his mention is in the Quran, but of prostrating at least, and in the Sunnah. But in the Bible, the other 4 of the Ulul Azm, which are the 4 next greatest of all earth, all prostrated. So they did what? They did aslama. They submitted their will to God alone. And that's what Islam means. It doesn't mean brown people, brown religion, Arab, lots of sand desert, whatever people might get in their head, like it's a religion of the desert, of this or that, or it's not for me. But in actuality, Islam is the only religion that is for all of mankind. And I can swear to God on that there's not a single other religion on the face of this planet that is meant for all of mankind, but rather each religion was sent to the people by which that messenger was sent to, even Jesus. And some people say, oh, well, no, it was abrogated later. He told his apostles that they could go out to the nations. Yes, he did say to go out to the nations, but they were to go out to the nations calling the lost sheep of the children of Israel that he mentioned before, who were lost among the nations. They weren't to go out and call the Gentiles to Islam, or to, because it wasn't Christianity, but to Islam. They called the lost children of Israel back to their religion that they were supposed to follow, following Jesus, peace be upon him, and those people that were amongst them, because the message started out just in Jerusalem. And so we see that Islam is the only religion, as Allah tells us in the Quran, that Muhammad has not been وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, except we have not sent you except as a mercy to all of the worlds, which is the seen and the unseen. So like even to the animals, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a mercy. And so I ask you, what would you do if something was presented in front of you and you had the choice to do what was right and sacrifice a lot, or to do what was wrong and let the status quo keep on going? Ask yourself this sincerely, and inshallah, hopefully you will be of those whom Allah guides. If you choose to be guided, may Allah guide us to the best of paths, and may we call to that path in a beautiful way, and may we be of those who have the character, the beautiful, beautiful character of our blessed Prophet Muhammad salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. السلام عليكم.